Ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court leaker, the person who gave the draft to Politico, will receive a huge book deal eventually, will be championed, lionized. The names of wonderful liberal, the children of wonderful, morally superior liberals will be named after this person. They're definitely getting a book deal. MSNBC, CNN, The Washington Post, The New York Times, New Yorker, New York Magazine, BuzzFeed, The Atlantic, Mother Jones, The Nation will write only the most wonderful things about this person. You can rest assured this individual will not be tied to the Kremlin in any way, shape, or form, and will be the most virtuous, moral, wonderful human being of all time. The book deal is already in the works. Oh, there'll be a Lifetime movie or an A&E, whatever. There'll be a movie about this person, Steven Spielberg. This individual is going to make millions upon millions of dollars eventually. There will be books written about this individual's life, and because he went to bat for the Democratic Party, he's going to be just put on a pedestal, or she, for the rest of the person's life. On the other hand, you look at what takes place to people who publish information detrimental to the Democratic Party. They're never charged with conspiring alongside foreign intelligence officials. No. They're accused of doing so, and then they're, you look at what's taken place with Julian Assange. He should be free right now. And what was his sin? Telling the truth about the Democratic Party, about the DNC cheating Bernie Sanders, which is why you have 3 conservative Supreme Court justices, or that Trump nominated. Had they not had a dysfunctional primary, the Democrats, and I told them what would take place, I said, you are going to lose with Clinton in the Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, and other publications. I said, you will lose. And they lost. And then they said, oh my God, it was another country that interfered. And then they couldn't find any information, anything to back that absurd conspiratorial nonsense. But the government was duped, apparently, and I have a very important Durham Probe Special Counsel segment right after this. But the government wasn't duped. There were officials who were in on it. That's a whole other story. The truth about, see, this is a political issue. This is not about morality. If you didn't want this overturned, then you shouldn't have cheated Bernie Sanders in a primary where 2016 was a pivotal moment pertaining to these court cases with the Supreme Court. And people said, oh, fall in line. Well, no, I wasn't going to vote for somebody who was backed by the Lincoln Project, and also I wasn't going to vote for anyone that was involved in cheating a candidate, Bernie Sanders. Now I support Trump and DeSantis, which they're much better. Like if you care about systemic injustices and economic injustice and issues like that, and an economy that's functioning, you can see what's taking place right now under Democrats. Skyrocketing inflation, contracting GDP, wealth inequality has been worse. More people are now impoverished. The same people who pontificate and preach and give these sermons don't realize, they don't see what's going on. It's worse now by a much greater margin. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below in the pinned comment. I want to go ahead and read this. A person familiar with the court's deliberations said that 4 of the other Republican-appointed justices, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, had voted with Alito in the conference held among justices after hearing oral arguments in December, and that lineup remains unchanged as of this week. So, A person familiar with the court deliberations, Politico received a copy of the draft opinion from a person familiar with the court's proceedings in the Mississippi case, along with other details supporting the authenticity of the document. That's from the actual Politico article. So so it's either a clerk or an employee at the Supreme Court with access to the draft, or it could have been, the draft left on someone's desk and somebody just working as an employee at the Supreme Court, getting access to it, and being a source for one of the two journalists. But the journalists aren't going to get in trouble, and nor should they. See, again, I don't think the leak was... If you're going to champion this type of transparency, then you should do so when it harms Democrats. You shouldn't say, oh, another country wants us to know that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Or another country wants Facebook ads to swing and influence voters. So this is a great article here. What is Politico, the outlet that released the Supreme Court leak? This is an abc10.com article. And you just see, just compare the difference between how Assange, who is a publisher, is treated, or Chelsea Manning, or Jeffrey Sterling, or compare how these people are treated. And compare how whistleblowers are treated when they go up against the system as opposed to when they're part of the system. So somebody could come out of an intelligence agency and say that Trump tried to pressure Zelensky, even though the president of that country could say that never happened. Trump never pressured me. And they'll still impeach him. And they'll still just go with the opinion of the individual or the clandestine operative or whatever that says, oh yeah, well, don't believe the actual the leader of that country. I mean, believe us. We think he really did that. So they impeached Trump even though the president, Zelensky, actually stated what they're accusing Trump never happened. He never pressured me. But they still impeached him anyway, without any direct evidence, just with people who think that it happened from an ellipsis. But the DNC emails that forced Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign in disgrace, that was the work of another country, even though Debbie Wasserman Schultz resigned. And 3 or 4 other DNC officials resigned. But again, it's you can't have a democracy or a functioning political system when certain leaks are good and others are bad. Certain information about what one political side wants is championed, lionized, and information that hurts the Democratic Party, whether it's Hunter's emails or, anything else, the DNC emails. They can't type an email without tanking their chances in terms of politics. The truth about them is a plot by a foreign country to inform you of how despicable they are. And again, like I said, you have people suffering now for actually giving information to the public, but it's not the information that Democrats think is okay. So that's something that people should that's I think an important point that needs to be addressed. But here, Politico doesn't have... This is an interesting article because it's almost certainly one of the law clerks, but it's a person familiar with the court proceedings, which could mean anybody, with access to that document. So Politico did not specify, obviously, who it was, but it could be a clerk. It could be anyone that worked within the Supreme Court. It'll be interesting to find out how Politico obtained the the draft, and it'll be also interesting to find out once the person is actually identified, how media treats that individual and how media treats individuals with information detrimental to the Democratic Party. These are the people who pontificate about morality, and they're the most immoral, despicable people oftentimes. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Thank you. I'll be back in about an hour.